Everybody has Russia painted as the big bad wolf. Every Western country is going crazy putting sanctions on him. And they're saying what he's doing is wrong. Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit, and you tell me if you believe what's going on. Social media has been turned into propaganda. YouTube, Facebook, I don't even know if my videos stay up. There's nothing out there on Putin, and it's very difficult to find things on him. You really have to look hard. It's amazing. Internet was supposed to be designed to have free choice. And over the years, it has turned into a horrible place, being controlled by corporations, elites, rich people. Um, just unbelievable. You know, we get this thing in the USA where we say, well, it's ran by a company, so it's their choice, their rules. Freedom of speech was taken away. Maybe that needs to be re-looked at on what freedom of speech is. And no company, no corporation, no elite, no rich should have a right to step on that. And maybe we need to go back and look at it. And maybe things need to be changed. Because the way it is right now, there is more propaganda on YouTube, Facebook, and every place else. You don't get the information that you need to make a proper decision anymore. It is literally getting to the point where internet is poison. And that's just the way it's going. Now, let's explain a little history about Ukraine. And this took a while to find out. When Nazi Germany was attacking Russia, they came into Ukraine, and Ukraine welcomed them. Germany was their saviors. And they attacked Russia. Russia came this close to losing its entire country. They really did. And that's what has Putin scared. Putin is a history buff. He understands history like no man. And you really have to watch his videos closely to understand what Putin is trying to say. There are multiple reasons on why Putin has attacked. And you tell me if you would attack if this happened. If Ukraine joins NATO, that means the U.S. can now build and do whatever they want there. Anybody that's in NATO can. Right on Putin's border. We can build missile silos. We can do everything there. We can put an army of 500,000 strong sitting right on his border, just like he did. That's scary. Can you imagine if Russia went down to Mexico and said, hey, hey, Mexico, join me. And all of a sudden, Russia started putting 400,000 troops on the Mexican border. Would we have that? Would we say, hey, that's good? That made Putin paranoid. Now, another thing that has Putin worried is apparently there's like 4 or 5 key areas up there that if Putin has them, he can protect his country. But without them, it leaves his country wide open. I found a little bit of information on that, not that much. If you own the country of Russia, would you want those 5 spots so nobody could come into your country? Now understand, I'm not on Russia's side or Ukraine's side. I'm on nobody's side. I am literally looking at both sides of the coin here, trying to understand what is going on with this. Because this is very, very important to understand. Ukraine is not innocent by no means. There is a lot of history back there that the news is not telling anybody. You will hear Putin mention Nazis quite a bit. Why is he saying that? You know, even the president of Ukraine said, I'm not a Nazi, I don't know what he's talking about. He knows exactly what Putin's talking about. He's lying. I'll put a link to a video, you'll watch it. It's older, much older, go watch it. It literally has 9-year-old kids in Ukraine training to kill Russians. 9 years old. These are referred to as right wing groups or whatever. Apparently, there's all kinds of them in Ukraine where they literally train 800 of them, 500 of them. They are training little kids to hate Russians. The prejudice is just unbelievable. They literally scream death to Russians when they're training. This is poison. Putin is saying he wants to go in Ukraine to remove the Nazi groups. Well, if you had, 100 different groups screaming kill Russians and they're right on your border, you think you might want to put an end to that? And you also have to think about this war. Putin could roll right through there. I mean, literally. He could just launch the missiles, bombs, and everything else and just take it out. But he's not doing that. It's almost like he's using a scalpel. It's like he's going in, taking out a little section, going in, taking out a little section. It's like he's looking for something. He's not going straight in to where he's trying to plow it over. I mean, if he was going to plow that over, he could just bombard that with missiles constantly and just wipe it out and then go in and take it. There is more to this than the media and YouTube is telling us. And I'm not saying Russia's innocent. I think they're both guilty. I think Ukraine's guilty, and I think Russia's guilty. But you won't hear anybody say that. Ukraine is developing Nazis there. There's videos on YouTube, if you look hard enough, where 9-year-olds are screaming death to Russia. There is a long history there between those two. We shouldn't even be there. Why we all got our nose stuck in that, I don't know. It's almost like they're trying to push Putin into launching a nuke. They want him to. It's like they're putting him in a corner. They're a bunch of morons, is what they are. And then I hear people say, well, they're not in NATO, so there's no U.S. soldiers there. Do you really believe that? Do you? I'm going to tell you a little story about something I don't know if you're aware of. But back in the Iraq War, which was an illegal war, weapons of mass destruction, by the way, which were never found. Anyhow, nobody ever did anything to us. They gave us free rein. That was an illegal war. But anyhow, what was going on in the Iraq War was too many soldiers were getting killed. It was showing up on the news. They were showing the tally. They were showing the numbers. Planes with flags draped over them. And the American people got upset. So how do you get around that and still keep your war going? Well, the American soldiers started quitting from being an American soldier, and then they became a private soldier working for places like Blackwater and all these other private businesses. U.S. government would pay the private business. Private business would double the soldier's income. And now when the soldier got killed, there was no record of that soldier dying because that's not an American soldier. That's a private soldier. Soldier of fortune. The manipulation that goes on is unbelievable. And I cannot believe that people still fall for this today. We should have had every single country against us when we attacked Iraq, and we didn't. We do whatever we want. Now, Russia has gone into a country because they are training people, 9-year-olds, to scream, kill Russians. Russia has gone into a country because NATO's getting too close and encroaching on their borders, the same as if Russia was in Mexico, and they want those 5 spots to protect themselves. Vladimir Putin mentioned how Hitler just about took his country way back in World War I or II, and how they were caught off guard. He also said in the speech there was no warning, there was no declaration of war, there was nothing signed. They just walked right in. Now, I thought for sure, I was 110% sure Russia would not attack Ukraine. because I knew the consequences of that. I knew their money would fall. I knew their people would go hungry. I mean, just with everything they were going to do to them. Putin had to make a decision. He don't want anybody on his borders, and he don't want to relive history. And he's terrified of it. I could see it in his speech and in his eyes. I'm going to be honest, we shouldn't have been over there. And that's all there is to it. There is more to this than meets the eye. And the propaganda that's online is just ridiculous. And like I said, I don't think Putin is in the right. I don't think Ukraine's in the right. The bottom line is, when there's war, there's no right or wrong. There's just death. But this has been going on for a long time, and there's a lot of pushing going on. And there's a lot of things people ain't talking about, and neither is the news. They want to make them look like they're literally white. I don't see that. It's amazing what happens when an idea blows up and people just eat it and don't use their brains. Everybody wants to paint Russia as the most horriblest place in the world, but Russia's not doing that great. Their people are starving before this even started. Russia's doing their best from when they had the fall. And it's amazing how quick they came back with an army. I don't think anybody expected that to happen, but they knew they needed that or somebody was going to walk right through them. I don't think Putin wanted to do this. I think he was pushed into it. I think he did try to talk every which way and say, look, we can't have this on our border, period. It's bad enough they're training people to kill us over here with Nazism. But we're not going to sit back and let this happen. And everything Putin has said, he has done. He hasn't bullshitted. He hasn't lied. Now he says he's preparing nukes. And prepare for something in history you've never ever seen. He hasn't lied about anything else. And like I said, I didn't think he would attack. He must have been really pushed into a corner. I think he's going to launch them. But a lot of people say, oh, he'll probably launch them in Ukraine. No, he's not. I don't think anybody's reading between the lines. Why would you launch a nuke next door to your land? A little common sense here. His country wasn't doing that great. It's not like they got weapons as good as ours over here in USA. We're raising up. He's not. Well, how do you fix that? Easy. You bomb everybody back into the Dark Ages. Can you imagine if he launches a nuke in New York and then he launches one into Dallas, Texas? He's going to pick like 8 places and he's going to take them out. If you're near, an army base, it's probably going to be nuked. He's going to nuke Canada. He's going to nuke UK. He's not going to nuke one country here. He's going to put every single country back in the Dark Ages. Millions and millions are going to die. Now think about that. What does that make Russia now? They're equal now. Will we launch nukes? Sure. He don't care. So we get this big nuke payoff going on. Millions die, but now everybody's equal. Now Russia's not starving. Well, actually, Russia is starving, and so is the United States. Everybody's starving. If he launches nukes, it's not next door to Ukraine like they say. He's already launched 2 bombs. Apparently one was a vacuum bomb, which sucks all the oxygen out of the air. He then turned around and launched another bomb, which was called cluster bombs, which apparently are against the Geneva Convention. And they actually believe we're going to go and take this to court and put it in there, and he's a bad man. I never knew war had rules. I don't think Hitler will abide by them, especially with all his experiments. There is more going on here than anybody's telling anybody. They act like this is like some humanitarian thing, and we got to save the people. And they can open up Polish borders and all these borders all they want. He's going to keep going. He has no choice. And like they said, they had the death squads when Hitler was around. Russia's going to have squads to hunt out these people that are being trained like this. And they will be removed. I'm going to give you a video at the bottom to go watch. You tell me after watching that video whether you would put up with that if you were a president. Our leaders are not telling us stuff. It seems like Facebook, YouTube, it's one big propaganda. And I'm just finding it amazing. I even seen somebody, the BBC News, they had some mother with her 10-month-old baby talking about how this has upset her entire life. Well, what do you think war does? You think it's coffee and cakes and you sit out in a restaurant? I mean, give me a break. People die. People lose limbs. Shit happens when wars happen. Putin is not going to have a bunch of Nazis on his border being trained as children to kill his people. I don't think we would. And these are the facts. There is more to this than the news is telling everybody. They're keeping everything hush hush. Russia's evil. I don't like communism, anybody else, but that's his country. That's their rules. But I definitely don't agree with Nazis. They have more private groups in that country than you can shake a stick at. And it seems like money is a great motivator on what Ukraine people do. It seems like who's ever spending the money, they'll do whatever they want. This is strange. In many ways, because Putin didn't plow through there. It's like he's using a scalpel and he's deciding what he's doing. He's taking his time. And you'll hear the news talk about, oh, well, it's taken him 4 days. He should have had it in 2. He could have had it in hours. That's not what he's doing. He's doing something else. And I'm sure, people within the armed forces know this, but the general public is being sold on media and propaganda, and they're falling for it. And that's all there is to it. Sure, help the Ukraine people. Sure, feed them, give them clothes, whatever they need. But I have a feeling that Putin did try everything in his power to prevent this. And nobody gave him any choice. And I don't think anybody's giving him any choice with the nukes. I think they're pushing him. And that day is going to be a very sad day when that happens. Biden actually was walking and said, do we need to worry about nukes? And Biden actually said, nope, don't need to worry about that. They are confident Putin is not going to launch a nuke. But yet his statement, history will be forever changed. I'm afraid I don't share Biden's idea of Putin not doing it. I think they're pushing him into a corner to where he has no choice. And if you're doing anything with prepping, maybe you should sit down and read about what you do when these go off. You don't just jump in your vehicle and run. And figure out, can you leave an area within a certain period of time? Anyhow, watch the video at the bottom. Please don't be sold by propaganda. Please don't think there is a big, bad, evil, satanic man. People are pushed into situations, and that's all there is to it. And I think Putin feels like he's been pushed into this. I think it was the last thing he ever wanted. Just my opinion. I'll catch you guys on the next one.